Jesus. Right. Apologies for the delay, ladies and gents. That was a nightmare. I'm convinced it's Susan shafting me again. I set it up through Streamlabs and I went on Streamlabs and there was nobody there. So technically I wasn't late because I was where I was supposed to be. I know that sounds very Gandalf, but I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Don't know why it shagged it. Seem to have made it twice on YouTube. Who cares, right? I'm here now. Better late than never. Don't know why it shagged it. There we go. Don't want to see that. Just checking it was on. Bollocks. Right, I'm here. Now then. I'm not doing Oxbridge pleasantries because I'm late and there's fucking loads of you in here. I might be fucked. We all are. Don't worry about it. Fucked loves company. I'm assuming when you say that, you're talking about these new COVID restrictions, right? It really is staggering. I was arguing with people at work about it last night. It's doing my head in. As everyone's aware, I got jabbed in order to travel to the United States in... When did I come here? August or September? I wish I hadn't done it now. Because, again, as I've said, I got it because I'm not a person that's risk averse. So I didn't give a shit. I was like, I don't care. What's it going to do? Make me autistic? Fuck it. Right? And again, the science has been proved, right, that there is a risk from getting jabbed. Could have fucked me. Certainly could have had it looks like myocarditis is common when you have it. I've been watching Chris Thrall, Andrew. And yeah, it's definitely gone up with young people. You know, nods, occasionally someone would have a heart defect. But you don't get as many as we've seen in the last few months. There's no way there isn't an issue with it. So, like I said, it appears to be, if you're old and knackered, because both have a risk, again, not controversial at all, Susan, so don't start on that. Not controversial at all to say, there's obviously a risk from COVID and there's a risk from vaccines. The risk from COVID has been overblown and the risk from vaccines has been underdone. There's a risk to both, obviously. But I got it, and like everything in life, the point I keep making is it's about principle. And now I wish I hadn't got the fucking thing out of principle, because in the last 6 months, they've gone from, yeah, you should get one, they'll never have vaccine passports in England, to basically forcing people into it. And again, stubborn wanker that I am, it's not about being concerned about the vaccine. I'll take my chances either way. It's about the principle of the matter. The principle of the matter. I can't believe the British are starting to act like the Jerrys and the Austrians. I mean, at least the Austrians spawned everybody's favourite toothbrush, mustached, midget, one bollock dictator, so they've got form. We just keep moving it now. It's like, it's unbelievable. So Booster, they can fuck off. They can fuck off. I'm not taking out a principle. I'm not worried about getting jabbed. I'm fucking nails. I'm convinced my heart's not going to explode, no matter what they do to me. But it's the principle of the matter. I'm happy to take it, but if you're going to say I have to, then fuck you. I know that's a really weird standard to a lot of people, but bootneck stubbornness, I'm not having it. And they can't call you an anti-vaxxer when you've had the fucking thing, can they? Although I suppose they can. Hey, listen, if they can call a black woman a white supremacist, they can call a person who has vaccines an anti-vaxxer, can't they? I mean, holy shit. Morning, Rotten Politics, how you doing? Glad you're still about. I worry about you and Paz and everybody else. We got a problem. Anyone who I like, I'm worried that they're just going to get fucking ditched off this dog shit platform. But it's the same as I'm a contrarian, Papa Golf, that's what I am. It does my head in. It does my head in. I'm not getting a booster that can fuck off. So they can call you a refused Nick, which is a little bit controversial in and of itself, isn't it? and call you an anti-vaxxer when you've had, like I said, if they can call a black woman a white supremacist, they can call someone who's had vaccines an anti-vaxxer. And how many have I had? I've had fucking hell. I've had more jabs than you can shake a stick at, and I've had, as well as the obvious, I've had rabies, 3 anthrax jabs when I deployed to Iraq. You had to get them voluntarily because they give you a fucking tick. Apparently, some people, Gulf War syndrome and all that, right? It's like, I've had anthrax, three anthrax jabs, yellow fever, rabies, TB, MMR when I was a burn, yellow fever I've had everything, me. So I'm not, but they'll still call me an anti-vaxxer. Well, you know they will. If you can call a black woman a white supremacist, you can call anyone anything. You can call anyone anything. When the 4 jabs attack the 3 jabs, we're talking to the nasty 2 jabs. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get people, because everyone's getting proper raged about it. Again, out of principle. People who've had the jab are getting raged out of principle. You know what it's exactly the same as? It's exactly the same as Brexit, right? And you guys that have followed the bootneck for a long time will be well aware of this. It's the same as Brexit. No notification, Blue Van Man, surely not. It's not Susan. Not fucking Susan. She always does me a solid, Susan. Fucking Susan. I tell you, it's a good job I am as stubborn as I am, because that's the type of shit that makes people rap in on YouTube, isn't it? Like I said, they think not showing anyone my content is going to make me quit. Not fucking happening. It could be literally me and Blue Van Man sitting in a tin shed, and I'd fucking still rock up and do it. Because I hate the idea of bending the knee. So fuck them. Fuck them. You were washing up. Well, at least you were doing something useful, Blue Van Man. Washing up counts as useful. Right? If you were just pulling your pudding out, I'd be a little bit... although no, I wouldn't, because I don't want you to be looking at me while you're thinking about doing things like that. Anyway, I'll stop digging. Point is, I'm not going anywhere. They don't show my shit to anyone. I've gone down from 12 months ago, I was getting 10,000 views on the BBC Spews. Now I get 2. Now I've got nearly 10,000 subs, I get 2,000 views. I'll fucking work that one out. So yeah, who cares? Who cares? For those of you that are concerned, thinking you're gonna miss out on your weekly Sunday dose of communist nemesis, you're not going to. I'll keep doing them. I don't fucking care. I'd only do it if it was me and my mother. Although, no, she's not around anymore either. It wasn't COVID. Yeah, fuck them. And Rotten Politics has got the right idea as well. Fuck them. Fuck them. Susan, she will have to send the boys round to suicide me via the medium of 12 rounds into the brain pan. Yeah? Suicide via fucking shotgun in the eye 8 times. Or I'm just going to still keep going. So fuck them all. One thing I was thinking of doing was making an alternative channel. And this is my plan, right? Because I've done a few caricatures of officers back in the day, taking the piss out of them. And they were always like, big, square-chinned, spotty pests with posh accents. I was thinking of making an alternative channel where I do my posh accent and seeing if it makes any difference, because I've noticed there seems to be a bias against Northerners. If you talk like Sargon of Akkad or Douglas Murray, it just seems that people like you more. And even big YouTubers that I like We Got a Problem, they're always southern, aren't they? Does anyone know anyone north of Birmingham that's got more than about fucking 50,000 subscribers? Northerners don't seem to get much love. So I'm thinking if I do my posh accent, it might not just be the swearing, it might also be the dulcet northern tones. The only thing I'm concerned about is it would basically be me putting on it's literally like I'd be a Gandalf level actor, because I'd have to put on my posh accent throughout the entire... Alex Belfield's a southern shandy drinker, and he used to work for the BBC, and he's ginger, so I'm not a big fan of... I'm kidding. I don't dislike Alex Belfield, because obviously him and I align politically now. Paul Joseph Watson, that is a good point. Morgoth, I do like, but again, he's not massive, is he? Iconoclast got fisted faster than fucking I did. And Dankula obviously has the fact that he went to bastard jail to help him out. I didn't go to jail, but he got prosecuted for nothing. True Geordie's another one, but I mean, he made it like 10 bastard years ago, didn't he? True Geordie got up when he was like slagging off. Remember that dog shit footballer who used to play for the Geordies? And he was an absolute twat. What was his name? He even had a stupid name. Anyway, I'm not even talking about football or Geordies. Yeah, I might make another one, but I'm not rapping on this, not till I get to 10,000. I don't care what Susan says or does. She can send fucking Zucker twat around my house with a brick. Paul Joseph, PGR, who's that? Is that? Oh, have you made a typo there? R's one key away from W. I'm assuming you mean Paul Joseph Watson Bushman. He should be. He's fantastic at what he does, Paul Joseph Watson. I watched him for years. True Geordie discovered you. True Geordie, yeah. I listened to True Geordie. I think the first time I ever heard of him was when he did David Icke. And I'll tell you what, that is like my awakening. Probably over a year or two ago now. But I think that was when I went from being proper centre-left boring cunt to going, you know what? I do actually think these conspiracy theorists, I don't even like the term now, have got a point. Sometimes, because they always advertise it, that anyone who's a conspiracy theorist is like, you know, I've seen Elvis riding on the fucking Loch Ness Monster. And so people pour ridicule on them and go, ugh. But actually, as I've said many times in the last sort of 12 months, you can't deny reality. Nile Ranger, Jimmy Ray, that's it, Nile Ranger. What a twat he was. You can't deny reality. And I feel like I've gone through the looking glass because I consider myself to be a strong-willed man. In fact, no, that's false modesty. I don't just consider myself to be, I fucking am. I don't get depressed, I don't get down about nout. And yeah, if I ever get suicided by a 12 shotgun shells to the brain part, it definitely wasn't me. But I am. And I believe in facing a difficult truth. And I think ultimately that's the single biggest issue we face now. I think the reason so many people cannot face facts, and maybe we shouldn't hate them for it. Like I told you guys many times, I try not to do that thing where you become bitter and resentful. I suppose you can't hate someone. It's no crime to be ignorant, and it's no crime to be weak-minded. Right? Like I said, 9 out of 10 people who try to join the corps fail miserably. It's nothing against them. If someone says to you, loads of people say to you, because most people don't lie. Most people are still raised by good parents who teach them that not being a lying snake, rat, bastard like that saggy albino jellyfish in 10 Downing Street is you shouldn't be a liar. And most blokes are honest. Dozens of people have told me in my life, oh, I'll try to join the Marines. Oh yeah, I couldn't hack it. Left in after week 6 or what have you. Most people who try to join it leave. And you don't have any scorn for them when they leave because the credit belongs to the man in the arena. There's no scorn, no shame in trying to join the corps and not winning your Green Beret. Better, I prefer those people than someone who never tried at all. If you have an adventurous spirit, you should have tried. But these people are obviously weak-minded. If you can't watch that Joe Rogan podcast, and again, I'm saying this because it irritates me how as soon as you try and tell someone a fact, they just write you off because it's easier. Like if everybody watched the BBC Spews on Sunday, like that clueless shit-for-brains lunatic that was attempting to, well, he wasn't arguing with me, he was just sticking his fingers in his ears and humming the national anthem. He wasn't arguing with me. He was saying that he basically thought I was just a bigot. So therefore he didn't have to argue with me. Right? He didn't make any arguments. I said, at least we have a mechanism to remove people that we don't like from power. You can't do that with Ursula von Scheisse-Porn. And his response was, yes, but you're just a racist. Again, lunacy. You know, he doesn't even know me. And if he'd watched, and I've got 2 years of my opinions in the open square. No, I'm not. I think it's ridiculous to even say it. because I'm not. And I like people that think the same as me, and that's all I care about. And they'll just say it because then they don't have to address the argument. And that's the point I'm trying to get at. It's like, I don't think a lot of them are bad people. I think they're just weak-minded. Because a lot of people can't face the mirror. I feel PRMC is the berry was the wrong colour. Do you think you got a green one as soon as you joined? Yeah, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. They're weak-minded, right? I don't think most of them are bad people. I just think they have that defect that a large proportion of the population does. So congratulations if you're one of the 260 people sitting in here now. You've obviously got that thing in your brain that allows you to not lie to yourself. And this is me holding my hands up again. I always hold my hands up when I fuck up because I'm a strong man. And I face the mirror. And if there's a difficult truth, you have to face it. You can't turn your back on it. A strong man always faces a difficult truth. You have to do it. If the doctor says to you, you could do with losing a few pounds, objectively, you could probably do with losing a few pounds. Don't go, fucking tensions. Mr. Doctor, what do you know about fucking medicine? I'll go and get a second opinion off this fat bloke who's a mechanic. That seems to be what people do, right? Doctor tells you need to lose weight. I know, I'll go and ask a fucking morbidly obese dwarf who works in a warehouse. I'll ask him what I should do about my health, and I'll listen to him, because what he said doesn't hurt my fees. There's another one. Stop using the term, I don't even want to say it, but hurt. I hate that word. You guys have learnt there's a lot of daft words from my own quirks that I don't like. I don't like that word. It's a very American term. Don't say that. You hurt the fucking feelings. They're very, very angry and they're very, very annoyed. You don't need to call it that. Yes, fat mechanic, please give me health advice because I am a Labour voter. And that's what I'm getting at. It's you have to face a difficult truth. And me, I never believed anything David Icke said. If you were to ask me 5 years ago about David Icke, I'd drank the mainstream media's, I'd suckled on the mainstream media's teats. And if you were to say to me, David Icke, I'd say he's a fucking idiot. He knows nothing. He's a lunatic. And then I watched the Geordie's podcast and I listened to him for 3 hours and give him a fair crack of the whip like I try to do with everyone. Because even when I'm judgmental, I'm not a fucking dickhead and I don't always think that I'm the cleverest person in the room and I know everything. Again, probably because I'm working class and unlike a twat who goes to Oxford where they learn one specific thing and have it driven into the brain and then they become arrogant because they've had an exclusive education and then they think they're cleverer than you. And then they think there's nothing you can ever teach them and they're right about everything. And that's why we're led by clueless twats like Boris Johnson, who you wouldn't trust to run a lemonade stand out your front garden, let alone the bastard country. So, point I'm getting at is, I'm holding my hands up like I always do and saying I made judgments about people I didn't know very much about and then I listened to him for fucking 3 hours. And yeah, and there is some weird stuff in there, Stephen Orn, but you know when he went a bit mad on Terry Wogan, if you listen to the 3-hour podcast he did with True Geordie, he basically says, I was having a bit of a moment. I had a bit of a mental breakdown because a lot of new information came to me. I don't know what else could have caused it, but yeah, he holds his hands up and says, that was weird and I made myself look like a twat. But so what, right? Everyone's allowed to make a mistake. I especially have a lot of respect for people who make a mistake and then hold their hands up and say, I've made a mistake. It's a fair cop. Own up to it and then just crack on, right? And I think that's how you should treat anyone in life. Again, because I'm a normal person, unlike these left-wing cunts. Who in here doesn't think that you should forgive people? A sincere apology is always accepted by the bootneck. If it's a sincere apology, I'll forgive you almost anything. And that's what you do. You have to grow. You have to understand that we all make mistakes. As long as you fucking accept that it happens every now and then, and you hold your hands up and say, yeah, I fucked up, you can grow and you can learn, and no one should be written off forever because of a mistake. I mean, shit. Even something really bad, like, when you're a young lad and things happen in your life where you fall out with your mates, or your mate starts shagging your missus when you're away on leave or whatever. Definitely never happened to me, honest. You fall out for like 6 months, and then your dad says, "You know what, son? You should never fucking fall out with lads at your age. You know, you're 19 or 20, and you fall out with your mate because he was shagging your fucking lass when you were away on leave, and then you come out and had a massive fucking barney with him, and it all kicked off, and you think you're not going to talk to him ever again, but you're a kid." And this shit happens when you're a young lad. And then you get a sincere apology and you go, you know what, fair enough, that maybe he's the old man's right. And fucking he always is. Because when you're 20, you know absolutely jack shit. And if I could give anyone any advice, I'd say that, right? Listen to your dad. This is what I always tell people. I've made videos about it. Listen to your old fella. Paz is in. Good evening, Patriots. All right, Paz. There's another Patriot I'm always worried about. Glad to see him showing up on YouTube. You never know when the winged beast of Silicon Valley herself will stick her conniving evil tendrils into sensible people on YouTube. Always listen to your dad. When you're 18, you think you know everything, and your dad tells you stuff, and you go, yeah, what do you know, man? You old squares know nothing. And then you get to about 35, and you go, the old bastard was right about everything. So if I could... if I could give anyone any advice, if you're under 25, listen to your dad. Because old blokes tell you things when you're a kid and you ignore them. You go, yeah, you old squares don't have your finger on the pulse, man. You don't know what's going down. I'm with it. And then you get about 35 and you go, for fuck's sake, the old twat knew everything. And you're too old to do anything about it. Dave keeps telling his teenage daughter, yeah, she totally will. All I'd tell her is this. I'd say, listen, if something went wrong for you, let's say you're 18, if something went wrong for you, you had a bit of a life crisis, your missus left you, sorry, teenage girl, your boyfriend left you for your mate, you ran off with your girlfriend, you lost your job at fucking Woolies, I'm showing my age, Boots, and you had no money and you're in debt. Who would you ask for advice? Would you ask your mum for advice? Or would you ask your 12-year-old fucking cousin? Who, even at 18, I think if my dad had used that line, it might have got through. Who thinks they get cleverer when they're younger? Who thinks they were more sensible when they were 18 than they do at 30? Nobody. I'd say to your teenage daughter, go and ask everyone you know if the cleverest person they know is 10 years younger than them. Oh, Paz is in the bath. I love it. I can sit in there for about an hour. My missus has pointed out that men must have much thicker skin than women because I have it where it's basically boiling my spuds. And I'm like, that's nice, that. And then she'll go, oh, save me the water. And then she'll go to get in half an hour later and go, Jesus, like put a toe in and nearly lose it. And she's like, how did you not burst into flames? And I'm extremely hairy, so you would think I'm highly flammable. But that's a weird one, isn't it? Blokes like a hot bath. I like it boiling. I like it Harry Red Pigs. Paz got his chop round. A friend of mine just had a baby, and my go-to line when a friend announces they have a baby on Facebook is always, congratulations, I can't believe, it has to be the second or third. Say, congratulations, I can't believe that pathetic little cock had more than one in the barrel. Always goes down well with the lads, not so well with the wives. Because women are not quite as humorous about children, are they? That's why they get more upset when you call them ugly. Red as Oggin, Bushman's obviously a bootneck. Right, should we do some fucking news? That was 23 minutes of talking shit. France resists US challenge to its values. France resists. See, this really pisses me off, right? And I want to talk about this because if there is a more damning indictment of Boris Johnson, the big, fat mess that he is, the 10-chinned, saggy albino jellyfish, if there is a bigger indictment of him than the behaviour of the French president, I don't know what it is. It doesn't exist. Because the thing that disgusts me utterly about Boris Johnson, and there's many things that disgust me about Boris Johnson, like someone pointed out, maybe he's a mutant. Maybe David Icke's going to be proved right again. Because How do these mutants breed as fast as they do? Like wet gremlins. Boris Johnson, nobody even knew his missus was pregnant. And then he had a big scandal. And they're like, oh shit, a scandal. And suddenly, she drops a sprog. And then all the headlines are about his fucking kid, his wife dropping out some hideous mutant child. It's like, she wasn't even pregnant. So it's like, my hypothesis is maybe Ikey's right, and he's some sort of mutant lizard hybrid. And he crawled down into the cellar. He got carried a scuttle into the cellar, yeah, because they knew there was a scandal. And then she like squatted on a rock and squirted out some form of reptile ovulate. And then Boris slithered down the next day and he tossed some fucking glowing neon baby gravy onto it. And then 4 days later, you've got a fucking newborn. It's like, it's the only possible explanation. Because she wasn't pregnant. Did anyone know that she was pregnant? It has to be the result of some form of foul mutant human hybrid. It's like a chaos spawn. Slanesh birthed a child in his fucking cellar. Like that. It's mad, isn't it? So that's my hypothesis. I don't know what. It's damning. So maybe that's it. I'll give Ikey his credit. When it all comes out in the wash, I'll give Ikey credit. But I went off on a tangent there. That was just a bit of humour about mutants. The real thing that disgusts me about him, if that didn't happen, if it's not indeed a clone, as Mr. Politics says, is that we have an example of France, right? I always look to France because France is great. France is almost the same size as Britain, almost the same population, shared history and culture in a lot of ways. Norman invasion. We've had bloody 100-year war with the frogs, 7 years war with the frogs. We have a lot of time and experience dealing with the frogs. Similar size population, similar size. You can always look to France as an example of how bad things can get in Britain. Because France are fucking useless. France are like the special needs younger sibling of the British. Because they're about a similar twice the size. It's not twice the size, surely the fuck. Anyway, point is roughly similar in size then, and the population's almost identical, right? I.e., they say it's about 65 million, but with illegal immigration, it's probably about fucking 80 million. In fact, have you walked around Paris? If Paris hasn't got 100 million of the bastards there, I'll be fucking astounded. Because you can't even walk anywhere near the Eiffel Tower without getting accosted by 30 Somalian blokes with fucking trinkets. Hey, look at my worthless trinkets, essay. It's like, what? What is this? Why do I want to buy a fucking fridge magnet from Djibouti? Right? I'm in Paris. I want a magnet shaped like the Eiffel Tower that says I'm or some shit. I don't want a Djibouti flag, you mad cunt. I don't want to buy the Somali national anthem on tape off some fucking third world migrant underneath the Eiffel Tower. 2.3 times the size, all right? Bigger than I thought. But similar population, similar way of doing things. So if you want to see where we can end up, just look to France, right? And I used to say this 10 fucking years ago when Hollander was in charge. Because this is when I was arguing with my socialist mates in Middlesbrough. I'd say to them, like, basically the population's the same size as ours. And they've just elected a socialist. So all we have to do, this is obviously when we had I think this is fucking, what was it? We had Cameron in charge at the time. Passage of time gets worse as you get older. Anyone else notice that? As you age, someone else, my missus will say oh, do you remember when we went there? And I'll go, oh yeah, about, what was that, 3 years ago? And she'll say, no, it was fucking 10 years ago, you mad cunt. So I don't know the exact passage of time, but when Hollander was in charge, I was telling me socialist Labour chums in Middlesbrough, listen, have a look at France. Roughly the same amount of people, roughly the same economy, roughly the same military. We're the same in so many ways. Just see how they get on. We've got a conservative government in. They've got a fucking socialist. Let's see how they get. Let's see if in 5 years' time, let's see which of us is doing the best. And sure enough, we started paying off the deficit. We reduced our deficit. We didn't fucking reduce the debt because we've been about as fiscally responsible as a drunk sailor in Las Vegas. But the point was made. And sure enough, Holland has been in charge. France, almost like a failed state. Our deficit slightly reduced. Things were going all right. Because you can see what's going on in France and you can make a nice comparison. Similar GDP, population, military, etc. So my real issue with Boris Johnson, the thing that really makes me fucking feel disgusted with him, is that Macron, right? Macron isn't a conservative. Boris Johnson calls himself a conservative. He has the gall. The gall. Oh, we're talking about France. Yeah, the gall. Boris Johnson has the gall. Fat, horrible, slimy, Baron Greenback-looking fucker that he is, has the gall to call himself a conservative. Macron never called himself a conservative. And Macron did a better job of standing up against iconoclasm, against the destruction of monuments and famous statues than the Conservative Prime Minister who swears he models himself after Boris Johnson, after Winston Churchill. So think about that. Macron is a slimy, oily banker, centre-left, never called himself a conservative, never even alluded to conservatism. And Macron has always done a better job of conserving French culture. That's what it means to be a conservative. Conserving that which we have. Centre-left, not a conservative, oily fucking globalist banker, Macron, is more conservative, is demonstrably more conservative than I love Winston Churchill, similar physique, the little cuboid fucking dickhead, similar physique, claims that he wrote a fucking book about him, claims he's his idol. And when Winston Churchill's statues were getting smashed up by dirty communists, the Conservative Prime Minister said nothing. What a fucking weasel. What a worm. The slithering little toad that he is less conservative than President Macron. That's a fact. And I've said this before, this story, 19 hours old, proves it. It proves it. Let's read some of it, shall we? I'll have to zoom out so you can see it all. 6 months ago, if asked what they understood by woke, most French people would assume it had something to do with Chinese cooking. Today in Paris, the notion of le wokisme is suddenly all the rage. The government warns of a new cultural totalitarianism creeping in from the Anglosphere. The education minister has set up a laboratory of the Republic, dubbed an anti-woke think tank, to coordinate the fight back. And everywhere the precursor of what might be to come are being reported in the media. A new gender-neutral pronoun, a threatened statue of a dead statesman, or a meeting on campus only for black students. Woke communism. For the French, these signifiers of what critics in the UK and US have termed woke are all very new and unfamiliar. Resistance to the Anglosphere. This is disgraceful. It's disgraceful because all bad ideas are French. David Starkey's talked about it. I've talked about it before David Starkey talked about it, right? I'm not trying to beat him there, but those of you that have been following myself for years have been saying it. My old man told me it when I was a kid, and then I started learning about history as I've aged, and I've gone, holy shit, all the worst ideas are French. The Sorbonne, Pol Pot, Marx, Marx might be a Jerry, but this is French shit. And even before Marx, the French were doing it. It was pre-Marxism. The terror, the French Revolution, numerous French revolutions. They were all talking about equality, equity. It's French. It's French shit. So the worst part of this is the French invented all of this bollocks, killed thousands of people, drenched Paris in blood centuries ago, and now they get to pin it all on the Anglos because of our shit for brains, shit for brains leaders. Joy bastard, bungalow Biden. I wouldn't let him run me a bath. And now, because history doesn't matter, these French weasels who basically invented all of this bollocks can pin it on us. Pol Pot, fucking Englishman inspired that bloke. Stalin, Mao, nah, that's all the English. It's all those dirty Anglos. George fucking Washington invented communism. That's what's coming now. That's what's coming now. Thanks to this, thanks to the weakness, it just shows how fast you can unravel everything. If you have weak leaders. All of this shit was invented by the frogs. And now, because of our weak, spineless leadership in the United States and the UK, the French are going, whoa, what's all this collectivist commie fucking shit? I can't believe the English invented that. Who was that English bloke who told Pol Pot to fucking take him back to year dot and everything would be great again and collectivise the farms? Oh my God, it was an Englishman. It was that cunt John Locke. Really? Incidentally, do you know, I remember listening to Ricky Gervais talking about Pol Pot. He said his ingenious scheme of telling if someone had been overeducated, because obviously he wanted to go back to like the ancient days, was if they wore glasses. So if he was walking down the street with his gunman and he seen someone with gegs on, he'd go, shoot that cunt, right? Cameroos leaps into action. He's definitely a highly educated, westernised fucking dickhead. So if you were like mega clever, you were well aware that he was out looking for people with gegs on because he thought it was evidence of Western education. So if you were like a professor, a communist professor, you're walking down the street with your gegs on, with your fucking NHS specs that, you know, weigh half a pound and proper black rims, Revenge of the Nerds fucking bottles, beer bottle gegs. And you see Pol Pot, and you probably see him from further away because you've got your fucking jam jars on. You go, shit, it's Pol Pot. You quietly take your glasses off, put them in your pocket, and just walk past him, going, pretending you're an idiot. If you're a autistic screecher or a downy, and you're unlucky enough to have bad eyesight, you're wearing your gegs. Pol Pot sees you, and you don't do anything. You just continue drooling on your shoes. So guess what? You get both barrels. You get both barrels. Because you're a highly educated Westerner. Yeah, not the best system. Not the best system for figuring out how to get rid of those clever people. So yeah, funny that, innit? Well, not really. Not really. Very few things are funny with communism. But you have to laugh about it, don't you? Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Very few things funny about communism. So this is almost funny as well, isn't it? This is funny as well. Look, don't preach to us about protecting racial and sexual minorities, is the instinctive French response. We do it in our sleep. Oh, yeah. How did the equality go in The Terror? Was that nice and egalitarian, was it, when you were drenching the streets in blood, you fucking balmy commie cunts? So, mad, innit? I'm not obsessed with wokeism. I'm simply against the idea of telling young people to enter social life by wading into competing grudges. So the frogs, the centrist milquetoast fucking frogs, are now going to blame all the shit on us. Look, I find it liberating to teach here. I don't have to mind my every word like I did with American students. Can you believe that? There's a professor there saying it's liberating teaching in France because he doesn't have to mind his P's and Q's like he does with those damn American commies. Unbelievable. This is the nation that spawned McCarthyism. This is the nation that was so militant against communism, they invented a term for it. McCarthyism. It's seeking out those dirty Reds and smashing them everywhere you find them. And now, thanks to these shit-for-brains weaklings, you've got academics, American academics, saying, oh, I love it in France. I love it in France. They don't have anything to do with this communist shit. Can you believe it? Can you fucking believe it? Mr. Sadwings is correct there. There's another thing I've learnt in the last 10 years. McCarthyism. All I learnt about McCarthyism in school, and as I aged reading about it, I was like, holy shit, that's shocking. McCarthyism was shocking. Elvis grassed up the Beatles and said they're all commies, like they had the CIA looking into them. It's like McCarthyism, oh, it's criminal, that. Worst thing ever. Now, after learning both sides of that fucking story, you have to conclude that McCarthyism went too far. But as I keep saying, if you have to pick between going too far that way and going too far that way, here we are, that way or that way, you've got to side with McCarthy. Because when you get a right-wing strongman, they sort of stomp on your rights. But ultimately, who's got the biggest death toll? You've got nutters like Mussolini and Hitler. And if you add up the butchery and the slaughter that comes from the communists, they've got them beat. Mao, on his own, has got Hitler beat. Mussolini looks like a fucking amateur compared to Stalin. So it's like, if you're like me and you sort of consider yourself centrist and rational and you're always willing to change your mind and you're always willing to learn and you're always willing to hold your hands up and say I was wrong, seems to me that, as usual, if you're forcing me to pick between a hardcore communist and a right-wing fucking strongman like Pinochet, I'll go with Augusto all day long. What was his death toll? Tens of thousands? Tens of thousands for Pinochet. And you learn what you've learnt now. Obviously, I'm not advocating Pinochet, right? Nobody should be going for free fucking helicopter rides in bastard Britain. First of all, we haven't got any helicopters. What are we going to do? Use a fucking hot air balloon. The RAF's smaller than the bastard Afghan Air Force now. So we couldn't do free helicopter rides because we've got no oil. We're not allowed to do fracking because we're all woke. What we're going to do? Throw them out of a tree. Free tree rides, what? Hit. 10 feet later. We haven't even got any big trees, have we, in England? We haven't got those fucking redwoods like they get in San Francisco. We'd be throwing people out of fucking pussy willows. So it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. But the point is, it's just not as bad. Objectively, if you'd like using metrics like death toll or amount of people falsely imprisoned, the commies are worse. Always. Trebuchet into a wall. Just trebuchet into a brick wall 20 feet away. Just sweep it away. It's ridiculous. So, like, we can't, and I'm not advocating Pinochet, but what I'm saying is you just look at the numbers, and if you were just a man of pure logic and reason, if you're a mathematician and someone said you have to pick between a commie or a right-wing fascist fucker, pure maths, I'll go with the right-wing fascist, please. Statistically, I'm more likely to live. Statistically, I'm more likely to live. And this is what I'm telling you, right? So now I understand again. I was brainwashed in secondary school. Oh, yeah, Pinochet's horrible bastard. He did this. Yeah, but now you're like, okay, he was bad. But now you understand why Thatcher and Reagan and all the right-wing conservatives in Europe and the United States basically turned a blind eye. They didn't advocate the helicopter rides, but they basically turned a blind eye to it. Because they knew Thatcher, she was smarter than Reagan. Thatcher and Reagan must have known that if you want to kill your society dead, the quickest way to do it is with communism. And that, I think, is all she wrote. Like, again, my eyes are now open. It's like, I'm not advocating Pinochet-esque holidays, helicopter rides. What I'm saying is, if you do the math, look at the metrics. Again, I'm a man of logic. Look at the metrics. Look at the numbers. Look at the false imprisonments. Look at the torture. Look at the murder. Commies win. Commies win by a long shot. Commies knock it out of the fucking park. So, can you blame them? Can you blame them for turning a blind eye? Because the alternative is always worse. And I think I can finish this stream there on a conciliatory note and say, I'm not advocating for that, but all I'm telling you, my misinformed left-wing friends, is that seriously, if you were going to make the working classes pick a side, and you have to pick a side, because this isn't degrees. You don't get degrees of communism or fascism. It's a Horseshoe theory is a thing. It's one or the fucking other. And if you're going to make people pick a side, most working class people are going to pick the far right fuckers over the far left fuckers because the death toll's smaller, the gulags are less full. It's a very simple equation. So please, step back from the brink, come back to the centre and embrace common sense and reason. Because it's not going to go anywhere good, is it? It's not going to go anywhere good. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please read that story for yourselves. Please, can I put it in the chat? I don't know if it's fucking signed me in. I advocate reading this story because it blows my mind and it just goes to show how bad things have got when the fucking frogs, 500 years of mass murder all around the world, and now they're blaming it on us. Read that and prepare to be astounded. This is what weakness and stupidity brings you. Not just collapse of your society, but even the rewriting of the history books. The Anglos invented communism. Fucking cheers, Froggy. Thanks for watching, ladies and gents. I might be back tomorrow. I don't know. I'm going to have to try and figure out what went wrong today because it was most annoying. If not, I'll do Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching and liking and sharing and all of that bollocks. I will see you all very soon. Gute Nacht. Auf Wiedersehen. And what's the French one? Au revoir.